Vance felt two strong hands grasp him beneath his arms and lift his body upward. Time seemed to stand still as a fresh wind brushed against his face. Was he dead? Was this what it felt like to be transported to heaven? Was he soon to see his beloved Elizabeth? Welcome everyone to this episode of Discourse. Today we're going to be discussing Treachery and the Innocent by author Rocky Sue.
This book is an adult fiction drama, the first book of a trilogy that's about family, religion, and a kidnapping gone wrong. Ooh. So, going back to the quote, Vance is one of the main characters. He's a CIA agent currently, and he's in trouble, and he's saved by his angelic warrior. You know, these angelic warriors, we'll dig deeper into them, but they live in the spiritual world, so there's no physical contact, and yeah, it's just pretty amazing how the author put them together. So there's a lot of detective work, you know, being the CIA. There's a lot of spirituality and religion that plays a big part, and we have like Iraq and America, CIA, operations, religion, family, friends. It's a lot going on. It's pretty cool though.
So first off, each chapter is told through different points of views, which I think the author did really well, because for me it felt like every different point of view was told at precisely the right moment. They all had a good piece of the story to add at the right moment, so I felt like it really helped pull the story along and made it super easy to follow. And it wasn't distracting to me that it was a different perspective the next chapter, or a, you know, kind of a semi not very important character, and then in just for one singular chapter. It actually all fit really well, I thought.
Yeah, it did. Sometimes it was even in the same chapter where it would jump from, just to say like the good guys and the bad guys. You get the point of views of the CIA agents fighting, you know, these terrorists, and then it flips back to one of the main terrorists getting his point of view on being attacked, what he's going to do, what his buddies are going through, what he should do. Then it jumps back and there's another agent, and you could say, right, there was not just like one main character,
there was multiple main characters for sure. But I guess the main like top three would be Shema, I think you pronounce it.
Shema.
And her cousin Ishmael, and they're both from Iraq. And the other main character would be Vance, a CIA agent, right?
CIA agent, and David, who is his brother-in-law, married to his sister who's retired, but he gets pulled back into the CIA because there's a leak. There's this Black Knight, this traitor, and there's treason, attacks, and like you said, like it jumps to different characters, so you get to see their point of views. Like, they're the bad guys, but are they really the bad guy? Because some were born into, you know, the family business, or that's all they know.
Right? Like, so you're speaking specifically about Ishmael and Shema. Yeah, I mean, because of their cultural background, not just their religion too, is very oppressed and definitely male driven. So like their uncle, who Ishmael is named after, is like this huge well-known commander terrorist guy in Iraq, and he kind of pushes upon Ishmael to become part of take on the family business of being a terrorist, and he's not really about that, but how he kind of gets roped into it almost like by himself, like he almost puts himself in that situation. He kind of inserts himself because he's trying to save his brother, who's in a U.S. jail, or prison.
An American prison.
Yeah, American prison.
That starts a whole chain reaction. Was just
that decision of
wild.
him. Yeah, just his decision of saying, I need to go save my brother from an American prison, sets off so many chain of events, and this entire story which follows along throughout the trilogy of books.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting. It caught my attention because I like detective, books or even TV shows, and this reminded me a lot about a TV show because you get to see, the bad guy's lifestyle, the good guys, and all the things that go on behind the scenes. That in the end, like it all comes together, or even just throughout the whole story. Here, things just kept coming together, the different pieces, right?
There was so much action, and you got little bits and pieces at all the right moments, so you kind of knew where everyone stood, and then it all unfolds in a very thrilling and exciting ride. So it was very interesting the entire way through.
Yeah. So, talk to us, Rita, about the Angelic Warriors.
Oh, actually, okay. So I'm actually excited to talk about this. The Angelic Warriors were probably my most favorite part of the entire story. I'm not a very religious person, and this book definitely has like a heavy load of religion, Christianity specifically. The spiritual aspect, I enjoyed how the author, I've never seen this done before, maybe it has, I've just never seen it, but she specifies in the book how whenever there's something italicized, that it's the spiritual realm. So it's these angelic warriors who are fighting on behalf of God, and they're here on earth to protect us, like as if they're guardian angels, sort of thing. But I love that they're called angelic warriors, because I feel like that's super epic and just makes them so much cooler. And the way she even describes them and how they work, like in action when they're trying to protect us.
Yeah, it's like a military.
Yeah, it's very much so military, because they even have ranks and
commanders, lieutenants, sergeants. It's like a military unit working together. So they don't just have, they have like one main guardian angel, but they work together with a team to not just protect them, but help fight these demons, right? You were going into the demons?
Yeah, the demons are really cool too. And I loved how they all were named after things that you would consider sins.
Yeah.
Right?
One was like hate or suicide.
There was like murder.
One was even called atheist, which I guess you could say he was like the in-between for people that believe but don't believe, and he's trying to bring them into like the dark side.
Yeah.
So that was interesting itself.
Yeah. I just loved how they all had like these sinful type names, and they were basically like the negative thoughts trying to feed into your mind and trying to corrupt you and make you do horrible things so they can take your soul. And I thought that was so awesome. And then the angelic warriors are there to battle the demons to save your soul, essentially. And they also kind of are the voice in the back of your head that kind of lead you to do things that you're like, I don't know why I needed to do this, but I just felt the need to. Like maybe that's your guardian angel or these angelic warriors leading you on the right path.
Because it is like not your conscience, but your inner voice, right?
Yeah, like the voice in your head,
Yeah, and that reminded me of like a personal story that I had. When I was younger, me and my cousin at night, we were going across the street, but there was a tunnel that went under the street. And I don't know why we took it, but people used to go down there and there would be taggings and all that, but whatever, it was a shortcut. So we took it late one night, and upon exiting the other side, there was a group of kids that we knew from school. It was like a little gang. And we just looked at each other. We're like, oh, should we turn back? What should we do? But they were all staring at us. And it's kind of like an inner voice just said, you'll be fine. Just go on through. Keep your head up. You'll be okay. Just keep walking. So just within that split second, I led the way. My cousin followed. And it was pretty weird because the guys just, they kept staring at us. They didn't stop staring at us. As we passed them, they opened up, and then they just closed ranks again, and we just kept moving, and everything was all right.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And that kind of reminds me too, like maybe, the angelic warriors had some sort of pool on how to kind of push them aside for you to pass through. Because in the book, the author, references that the angelic warriors can't necessarily touch or physically do anything to the physical world, but they can kind of hide things.
They can hide things, or they could whisper in the person's ear,
Yeah.
look over here, or disable that, or do this.
Yeah.
Or like in my situation in the book, it would happen as if there were demons around these group of kids, and these angelic warriors were fighting them off, so they didn't have like a negative influence on these guys to like attack Abel, like, you know, put them down. And in the book, that's how it is, right?
Yeah, they have like that power. I think that's so
it's like battle
cool.
scenes going on in the spiritual realm around us, and these CIA agents and just people in general, they're unaware.
Right, totally unaware.
So
They
yeah,
don't see it.
that was unique. I thought it was pretty unique to it. I liked it.
Yeah. So there was one quote that I did want to read a little bit just about the angelic warriors, just because it's so cool and I have to bring it. Ori raised his sword for the forthcoming battle, then sped upward, bursting through the surface of the earth with such force that the ground trembled, giving the sensation of a slight earthquake. As he did, dozens of angelic warriors emerged from the sidelines, beneath the ground, behind trees and bushes, out of nearby homes and vehicles, and from the sky above. The very surprised demonic horde was instantly severed from their intended victim, although no battle ensued, for they were well aware of their inferior situation against such a massive angelic force. Yeah, it really gave like that nice visual, like superhero aspect to these angelic warriors that I thought was just so cool. And you know, there's more of that throughout the book, and it's so like I don't know, so creative and so interesting.
Yeah, and I just like the military aspect of it. It's like they're on their, I don't think they had walkie-talkies, but I could just imagine them on their walkie-talkies. How's it going over there? Do you need backup? You know, so-and-so is asking for help. They're praying, you know, extra for this support.
Yeah.
You know, call in reinforcements. and I think the stronger the believer, right, the stronger the angelic warrior. Like there was even one that was, I don't know, they talked about him as if he was 7 feet tall, like a bulk of muscle.
Right. Yeah,
like he could take on 10 demons at once.
Yeah.
Like it was awesome. And in the real world, they had no clue. They just had their belief that they would be protected and supported by God. But even though, as you mentioned, Rita, that it was heavily based like on Christianity or, you know, faith, these guys were CIA agents, man. They were trained to fight and take care of business. So, you know,
the job done.
Yeah. So that took nothing away from like all this action and drama that went on.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I think just because it kind of, you know, religion was at the core of the story, and how in Christianity, the faith, you know, there's forgiveness. So you forgive someone, even for like the most horrible crimes, or you don't blame a group of people for one person's actions. You know, you hold the person accountable, not the people. And I like that message towards the end about forgiveness, because it's really, I think it's an interesting thing. It's hard for people to forgive, and that can be very healing to someone, just to forgive someone.
Yeah. In the end and throughout the book, like the brother being in prison, well, he did bad things.
Right.
Like if my brother goes to prison, I'm not gonna go take the cop to court. I tell my brother, what you do?
Right. You must have done something. Anything.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, sorry, cop, for doing your job, but let's move on.
Right.
You know, let's work things out, whatever. But yeah, it's a lot of, this book was different, and I liked it. It was like a mix of everything.
Yeah, I felt like it had a lot of, a little bit of everything, and it was just done so well, and I could continue into the next book easily, for sure.
Yeah, because it left in a to be continued, just like in a movie.
Right, a good cliffhanger.
Yeah.
We love those.
Yeah, so this book does play a lot into faith and religion, forgiveness, but also trust. That plays a big part, and that is severed when there's a traitor within the CIA, which I think that's the main plot of the story, because they're trying to find this Black Knight, but then David and Vance are also kind of being interrogated and being accused of being the Black Knight or working together. Like this was just a whole scheme to get money and retire. So a lot goes on, and even after the interrogation is over, it's not really over. There's more to the story. They take it to the mountains. They take it to the spiritual realm. The angelic warriors are there for the whole ride. It's definitely a cool story, a cool movie in my head.
I know. I definitely can see this being made into a movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, a couple movies or a really cool TV show, maybe.
Yeah, or even some short stories about the spiritual realm and like the background of the angelic warriors.
I know. I really want to know more about the angelic warriors. Alright guys, thanks for hanging out with us, and make sure to check out Treachery and the Innocent by author Rocky Sue.